A big hello and warm welcome to all of you who are listening to me yet again today. Today I'll be speaking about fallacy. While the word is very commonly used in philosophical circles, it is very rarely used in day-to-day life. For any of my friends who have newly taken a liking towards philosophy, this is one session that is absolutely crucial. Do not miss this. This session may probably go on to become 2 or more sessions, but stay put. Do not miss a word I say. And for my very scholarly experience friends here, please do let me know if I have missed something or any other feedback you have for me. Okay, let's first have a look at the definition of fallacy. A fallacy, which is also called a sophism, is the use of invalid or otherwise faulty reasoning, or let's say wrong moves in the construction of an argument. Yes, I deliberately said construction of an argument. In logical philosophy, an argument is something which is carefully constructed. It is constructed on the basis of certain assumptions which are called premises. So going ahead, remember that if I use the word argument, it does not mean a heated verbal exchange like in daily life. It is instead a set of statements based on certain assumptions intended to prove the conclusion. Complicated, is it? For example, let's say I want to prove that I am mortal. To prove this, my first premise would be that all men are mortal. The second premise would be I am a man. And so I conclude that I am mortal. Now what I did to prove my point was I drew an inference from the premises. This process is referred to as reasoning, logical reasoning. In this particular case, the point to prove is pretty much obvious, so nobody will give it a second thought. But there are cases where the conclusion is not so obvious. The inference or the reasoning is not so simple. It can be wrong or it can be faulty. This faulty reasoning is called a fallacy. Now, a fallacious argument may be extremely deceptive by appearing to be better than it really is. Sometimes fallacies are committed unintentionally, mainly due to carelessness or ignorance, while some are committed intentionally to manipulate or to persuade by deception. Now, this second part about intentional fallacies is what I want to explain as clearly as possible, because the world around us today is full of them. In this online world, we have lost the one-to-one connect we used to have, and we now depend upon what we see on screen and hear through the speakers. Words have gained extraordinary importance. Words have gained extraordinary importance, my friends. People are doing their best. People are doing their best to build their own communities. They're creating new groups, propagating new ideas, gathering followers. In this scenario, we have to be aware of fallacies to prevent us from falling into a trap. Let me say this, that all of us, we all succumb to some fallacies. We accept them. We don't ask for proof. We just go ahead with it, with the simple objective of achieving peace of mind or feeling motivated, or sometimes even consoling ourselves, however momentary it may be. Well, that is fine as long as it helps the individual. What is important is to know that I have accepted a fallacious argument for XYZ reasons. When I know this, I know when to stop, where to apply the brakes. But if I don't know that I have accepted a wrong argument, I may go spiraling down a bottomless pit in pursuit of nothing. One life wasted, that's all. So, take this in the right sense, it's to prevent from getting into a trap laid by anybody. There are many different types of fallacies, and their variations are almost endless. Given their extensive nature, I will speak of only a few common fallacies so you will be able to develop sound conclusions yourself and quickly identify fallacies in the writings of others and speeches and sessions. So, here we go. The first one, ad hominem and appeal to authority. Wow, how scholarly it sounds, isn't it? When I tell you what it means, you'll say, oh, this, I know it. Well, unfortunately, that's how philosophy is written, and that's why nobody ventures to explore it. Going on, these are actually two separate fallacies, ad hominem and appeal to authority. But they are kind of opposites of each other, so I clubbed them together. The first one, ad hominem, is the result of attacking a person. For example, you say, this face cream just can't be good. You know, Angelina Jolie is advertising it. So you are evaluating based on the source of the concept, which is Angelina Jolie, not on the merit of the concept, which is the benefit of the face cream. Now the example that I gave is trivial, but see the implications when applied to larger aspects. Just because you don't like your mom or dad, you have probably ignored 1,000 good things they said or did. Anybody relating to this here? The second one is appeal to authority, which is the opposite. For example, you adore, let's say, Brad Pitt, and one day you meet him and he tells you that there are dinosaurs in New York. Without bothering to check out on something as simple as the internet, you just believe in it. So that's how this fallacy is. So again, I gave a very trivial example, but there are people you believe just like that without asking, just because you like the people, don't you? Or let's say I tell you, I don't like jeans at all. They look so muddy and they're so suffocating and tight. I prefer my own fashion of wearing formals, always. Upon this, you tell me, oh, come on. The whole world is wearing jeans. Even Prince Charles does. Are you saying your fashion statement is better than Prince Charles? You see how my statement has been put down? What is the argument given to say that I am not right in not wearing jeans? I'm sure you get the whole point of this. The second one is appeal to ignorance. Now, these fallacies occur when someone makes a claim that must be accepted because no one else can prove otherwise. An example of this is you ask your students, let's say, does anybody have any questions? Silence. Nobody says anything. So you conclude that since there are no questions about what I taught, the students are ready for a test. Got the point? The third one is appeal to pity. Now these fallacies occur when someone seeks to gain acceptance by pointing out to an unfortunate consequence of not accepting it. For example, I say to my girlfriend, I know we don't love each other, but if we don't get married, it'll crush my mother. You know, she has a weak heart. Do you really want to do that to her? Now my girlfriend, she succumbs. I have appealed to her pity. She agrees at the cost of her life. The fourth one, bandwagon. Yes, you might have all jumped on the bandwagon before. Well, bandwagon fallacies occur when a proposition is claimed to be true or good only because many people believe it to be so. So very commonly done. Tomorrow, the whole world might decide to, let's say, move around naked. Will you do it? Because the world is doing it. Well, no, you'll say, oh, I'm going to wear my clothes. Am I mad? But yet, so many times we have jumped upon the bandwagon. Like, for example, all my friends are practicing yoga and they are on a low carb diet. That must surely be the only way to lose weight. And I go to a yoga class and I go on a low carb diet. What was your own investigation, or was it just your friends who influenced you? The fifth one, begging the question. This is also called as circular reasoning. This is a type of fallacy that occurs when the conclusion of an argument is assumed just by the way the argument is phrased. Like we call it a rhetorical question where no answer is expected. I have already answered in the question itself. For example, I say, now, if aliens didn't steal my newspaper, who did? So I don't really expect an answer. Or for example, I say, I have right to free speech, so I can say what I want, and you shouldn't try to stop me. So it's like no answer is expected. I have declared that I have a right to free speech. So this is not an argument, this is a statement which may be valid or invalid, but you are not given a chance to argue. So like I said in the beginning, I guess I'll have to split this session into two parts. I have already overshot my decided limits. So I spoke of 5 common fallacies today. In the next session, I have some more planned to talk about. Once more, I sincerely, honestly request you to please subscribe to the channel. I don't need the views. I don't need subscribers for monetization. I have all the money in the world required to live happily myself. What I need is feedback from you intelligent friends here. I'll be happy to include your quotes in my upcoming book with your permission and with due credits, of course. Another humble request is please do not depend on me posting the next one in this group. I do try and post in all the groups I am a part of, but I may miss sometimes, or my post may get disapproved sometimes. So please subscribe for more. Until next time, bye bye and have a great week ahead. See you.